What's good, y'all? It's Kyle Alexander.
And Michelle Lee.
And this is the KM Book Club. It's 2019, everybody.
Ooh, Happy New Year!
Happy New Year. And happy birthday to this one. Joining the Dirty 30.
30.
Dirty.
It's been a good year.
And
I mean, do you notice anything different? Anything? Anything at all? So we're engaged!
we got engaged in Niagara Falls. Look at that. I love you.
Love you too. This is going to be a very good episode, if you haven't already noticed. Before we start, we want to make sure that you guys like, subscribe, and comment, and share.
Click the button below and
Come
subscribe.
on now.
ASAP.
Y'all know what we doing. We
Please.
reviewing books, letting you know what we think.
Let's go.
Let's jump right into it.
Okay.
Y'all already know we told you the last episode that we are reviewing Imagine by Steve Turner.
Hey.
Who is a journalist and a poet and quite a wonderful creator from London, England. The reason why we actually chose this book, as you guys all know, is because we create. Not only do we review books, but we're also artists.
The reason I found this book and picked this book, I saw a quote on Lecrae's Twitter, Lecrae's Instagram. It said one of the quotes from this book that Steve Turner gives, and I was like, wow, that's crazy. It talked about like the arts and different things like that, and I was like, yo, we gotta read this. So that's kind of why I was so adamant about us reading it, and because we're artists, obviously.
True. We actually fast forwarded a little bit because we need to give y'all the whole PSA and the whole rating system and all that good stuff.
Woo.
Okay, we can't forget that.
So first off, PSA, this is not relationship advice. Even though we're engaged now, ooh, it's still not relationship advice at all. Don't ask me nothing. Don't email us. Unless you got a dope book that you've read, but don't email us, don't call, don't talk to your pastor, talk to your mama, talk to your daddy. Don't talk to me.
Yeah. We just reviewing books.
That's it.
Trying to be great. That's it.
Trying to help you with what helped us.
If you guys haven't watched the first episode, we're going to give you a quick run through of our rating system. It's a system from 1 to 5 with the categories starting from 1 being dry. 2 is barely would have made it. Dang. 3 is basic cable. It was good.
It was cool.
4.
So 4 is lucked up. We didn't think it was gonna be that great, but then it ended up being dope.
5.
5 is
coming through for the win with
there
that
she goes.
change. Yo, life. It's just a good read from beginning to end. Had your attention the whole time, and just my life was changed. Let me go with the other hand.
Life changed.
Okay, let's jump right in.
Let's go. What did you expect from this book?
I expected a lot. Definitely being a musician and loving music, I wanted to really read this book to figure out what he was talking about. Not only is this a book for creatives and musicians, but this is a book written by a Christian. So it's coming from the spiritual aspect of being a Christian artist. It's a lot of controversy in this book, which was pretty good. I mean, he actually, I don't want to dive all in, but yes, those are my expectations versus reality. My
expectations were being an artist and doing like hip hop artist. Sometimes it's hard to you gotta kind of toe the line, you know what I mean, between being authentically hip hop and then expressing your faith in your views at the same time. Sometimes you want to try to speak to both genres at the same time, or speak to both things at the same time. And this book actually gave you like a roadmap on how to do it, on effective ways to do it, and they gave you his perspective on it. And he kind of used different artists and different people in the book who have done it successfully and then who have done it unsuccessfully,
right?
Which I thought was really dope.
Okay, you guys, so let's hop into the highlights and lowlights.
Yep.
Highlights for me definitely stood out as far as the controversy is concerned. I was telling you guys, he really dives in. The biggest question that he has in this book, what the difference is between a Christian artist and an artist who makes Christian music. And Christian art who makes Christian art. Right. So I'm sorry. Yeah. It's not necessarily just geared towards music as much as as much as it is creating, the
Right.
creators, people that are involved in the arts. So he goes into actors, authors, playwrights,
Yeah.
anyone that's in like any type of artistic industry.
Right.
He wants to know what the difference is, and he dives in so deep. Oh my God, it's so good. And it makes you think, if you're a Christian, is what you make have to be geared towards Christianity? Does it have to only be exclusive
Right.
to making something Christian?
Right.
Or does your, I guess, your spiritual walk and the fact that you are a Christian cover that?
Right.
You can do like ABC, or not just have to be in a choir, or it doesn't have to be church related.
Right.
Would it still be honored by God? That's
Right.
really what he's saying. That was a highlight for me.
So highlights for me were, I thought it was really dope how he expressed that. Basically, it says we need more Christians talking about everyday living rather than more Christians talking about Jesus. That market is pretty much oversaturated. So I think a lot of times when Christians start to make music, everybody's thinking, well, let me tell them about Jesus. Every Christian thing they read tells them about Jesus. And let me just say first, like that's an amazing message, and that message doesn't get old, but I think that message kind of needs to evolve. He was saying that you need Christians kind of dealing with more everyday scenarios, like how does a Christian deal with losing their job? How does a Christian deal with losing their family member? How does a Christian deal with their everyday struggles, their stress, their anger, their anxiety? So then you can see it from a different perspective. Those are things that he covered in the book that I was like, wow. It is okay to discuss art, or it is okay to share your art that isn't overtly Christian, but it's about your everyday life, because we live in like an everyday world.
Exactly.
I think it's dope that in the book he was saying kind of like level yourself and then talk to people like people. You know what I mean? So those were highlights for me. What were your lowlights?
When you get towards like the middle of the book, it begins to drag. At the end of every chapter, there were reflection questions, which I was all for, because not only does that make you and force you to sit and discuss what you just talked about or what you just read, that it's actually, you're actually absorbing the stuff that he's talking about. That cut out a little bit of the dryness in the middle, but there still were some really dry areas where it was like, oh man, how many more pages? We got 4 more pages. Okay, let's keep going. The book overall was good. It was a good read, especially for us, since this is our purpose. Clearly, the category that this fell in for us was purpose. It had its dry. Like, I had to go to the kitchen for something to drink a few times.
My low light isn't really the book. This book, for whatever reason, took us a long time to read. So my low light is the duration of time that we took to read the book. When we first started reading the book, it was like, oh my God, this book is amazing. These quotes are dope. He's really like diving into things that we need to know and need to discuss and need to talk about. And then as time drug on, it was like we kind of had to, it was almost like we should have restarted it and kind of came back. From that perspective, I think the low light is like probably us not being as consistent getting through the book kind of made it dry.
And y'all already know, when you put books down in the middle of them and then go pick them back up, it's almost like watching a series on television or something, where it's like, or a season, I'm sorry. A season on television where you start and then halfway through you stop.
It's like the French fry.
And then when you try to pick it back up, it's like, wait, what happened in that last episode?
It's the French fry analogy.
What's the French fry analogy?
When fries are hot, they are best. As soon as fries get...
Not that we eating French fries because we on a damn fast.
Listen, it's 6 to 6. After 6, I can eat fries. I'm not eating them after 6, but if I wanted to, back up.
He's eating French fries.
Oh, here we go.
He's eating pasta.
You know what?
He's eating French fries.
You know what? Let me shout
I'm
out.
not eating
Let me
French
shout out.
fries.
Let me shout out to my homie James Daniels, who's shooting this video and who's a French fry.
James ain't eating French fries.
James Daniels, prior to the fast, is a French fry connoisseur.
You see you talking about French fries on the Daniel fast. That's all I got to say.
Anyway, we let the book get lukewarm and then cold, and then we tried to heat it back up, and it didn't heat all the way up. Other than that, I thought the book was really dope. I did like how he kind of brought it back at the end of every chapter, because it created a conversation. Being artists, it's like, oh, how can we apply this to our art? How can we apply that to our art?
And honestly, it broadened the topics, because a lot of Christian creators or creatives feel like this is the box that you have to creating.
Talk about
you
it.
have to talk about Jesus. You have to draw it back
Right.
and talk about Jesus's lineage and talk about how holy and
His lineage.
magnificent he is. Like, it has to be right here. And if it's not right here, Willie Mo Jr. is not going to talk about it. K-Love is not going to promote that whatsoever. But that's not true, because we are Christians,
Right.
and we are living righteously. Everywhere that I go, God, I'm bringing God with me. And I'm not sitting here bashing people over the head at work with the Bible and quoting scriptures every time somebody send me an email.
It is a good morning because Jesus woke us up. Hello, boom. I love him. Do you?
But God and the Spirit of God is exuding through my pores. And if it's not, that's a heart check that I got to do. You should be able to see my morals
Right.
and my spiritual walk
Right.
through my whatever I'm creating.
Yeah.
Because it's in me.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't necessarily have to talk specifically and directly to God. You should still get God
Right.
through
Right.
what I'm presenting.
You should even get God through how you respond to situations.
Mm-hmm.
If you have a song and in the song you're telling a story, your response in the story should show the God or where you needed God.
Yeah.
I think a lot of times Christian hip hop can get watered down and corny at times. And hip hop in general can, but specifically about this book, it can get corny because they feel like there's like a formula, there's like a box, like you have to say this, you have to say this scripture, and at the end Jesus has the win. You need to tell like full stories where life doesn't end that way every time. I have songs where I talk about like family members and things that you go through, and in that small situation, that's not like Jesus wins. It's like that's what you need to show the listener, that you can learn these lessons and grow. Mm-hmm. Like how we do the drop it rock, you know what I mean?
Yes.
Telling those stories of like, hey, how did I get to the point where I'm able to drop this, are stories that people need to hear, and you need to put in music, because it's a true full picture. And I think those are dope to be told that way.
It was a really good book.
It was
So
a good
if
book.
you are in, honestly, you don't even have to be a creative to read this book. Like, to really dive into this book,
Yeah.
you don't have to be a creative at all. You can be an accountant, you can be an engineer. It's just nice to know that regardless of what your profession is or what your career is, you're still able to worship through your profession.
Right.
And it doesn't have to necessarily be in the church. Like, you don't have to be a pastor to give God the glory. That was the main point that he was trying to drive home.
Right.
For the longest time when I first got into music, I did not want to be considered a gospel artist. I wasn't out in the street twerking and, like, that wasn't what I was singing, but I wasn't singing about that.
Did you just do
I did.
a seat twerk?
No, for real. I didn't want to be quantified as a gospel artist.
Right.
And the main reason was because I felt like I had to be in this little box. And I was like, I want to talk about more. Just because I'm a Christian doesn't mean I can't necessarily talk about love.
Right.
Love, God is love.
Right.
So why would I not talk about my relationships? And not just with a man. I can talk about relationships with my mother, my family, my friends. Like, I should be able to talk about this, and it should be considered gospel music, because Christians have all of these things. We have good days. We have bad days.
I've had some good days.
How do you get through them? Honestly, whatever genre that I decide to classify myself as, the music's still going to be the same. The message is still going to be the same. You're still going to get God in it. It's still going to be clean. Y'all going to get what y'all going to get.
One thing.
Y'all going to get what he going to give me.
One thing really dope that it says is, imagine that art is risky, complex, and subtle. Imagine music, movies, books, and paintings of the highest quality. Imagine that art permeates society, challenging conventional thinking and standard morals to their core. Imagine that all that art is created by Christians. So I'm a comic book fan. We watch Avengers, or we watch like the show Greenleaf. We watch Bob's Burgers. And it's saying, imagine if all those things, and you look at the end, it's like, oh snap, this dude's a Christian. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And I've said this for forever, as long as I've been making music, and it's like, you read the stories in the Bible, they're not all good stories. You read the story of Samson and Delilah. Samson dies at the end. You read the story of David, like, and what happened to his daughters and what happened to his family. Like,
but it's reality. If
there was a song about these stories, it wouldn't be a pretty song. Mm-hmm. But then when they create songs, they make them like, oh, they need to be like these like sonnets to Jesus, where it's like,
which is important,
which is great. So let me back up a little bit. There are songs that need to specifically like worship God, praise God, give God the glory, and give God the praise. Absolutely. There also need to be songs that talk about like your everyday life to show a full picture, to show you don't like just live in a bubble.
Right.
If you are an artist, this book is like a must read for you. Because it will open your mind so you can see how expansive one God is and how much dope art you can create just by stepping out of the box and stepping out of that comfort zone.
Mm-hmm.
So with all that being said, let's get into this rating system.
Okay.
You ready?
Yes.
All right.
If I see it, I see it.
Already leaning. All right, I'm ready.
Yep.
1, 2, 3. Hey!
You lie. You lying?
I was done first. Copying off my
You
paper.
acting right.
You a fiance now, so we just look at God. Why'd you give it a 4? Why'd you say looked up?
Okay, I gave it a 4 because I didn't know what to expect with the book. I told you guys that around the middle it was a little dry, and I was waiting for that last page, Jesus, so we can go over these reflection questions and keep it moving. But overall, the book was really good, and it opened up my mind to creating as a Christian.
Yeah.
And not feeling limited
Yep.
to what I can create and write about
Right.
or discuss. Like it opened up so many doors without me feeling as though I can't discuss it. That's why I gave it a look up, because I was like, yes, I needed that.
I gave it a 4 because when we found the book, I was like, all right, I heard great things about it. Let's see if it plays out. And it did. It really opened my mind to how much you can create, and if you step outside the box. And we both have projects coming out. I have tons of music coming out this year. You have tons of music coming out. So it's like, let's take this. And honestly, I'm going to go back and kind of dig into this book again and make sure that I'm following like the steps and the tools that I've learned and the things that the book has taught. And the things the book has opened my mind to as far as creating is concerned. And I'm thinking, okay, well, if I can do this, now people I feature with and people that reach out to me for features, and then when we create music together, it's like, well, we're going to have this mindset now of, well, we can go here, we can go there, we can talk about these things.
Yeah.
So that's why I gave it a 4. And this was a very, very, very good read.
It was a good read, you guys. Like, it was good.
Yeah. Yep.
Just to have a different perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Pastor says all the time, no limits, no boundaries.
Right.
It's like,
Right.
just
And then if you think about it, when you do put yourself into that box, you limit their creativity, but you limit your audience as well.
yeah.
Because how many times have you watched a TV show or you watch something, you're like, I know what's going to happen to this, and you turn it off. You're uninterested.
Right.
So if you hear a story, you're like, oh, no, this story's going. The guy's going to get shot. He's going to die. All right. And that's not just in Christian music, Christian art. That's in anything.
Right.
I can really dive deep into the art and really give people like my real life and really show them sides that you wouldn't think to see in like Christian art.
Yeah, and God still gets the glory.
God still gets the glory. So look at us.
Yeah.
Foes up. Foe.
You see it. Y'all gonna have to pick the book up, okay? Because we need to let y'all know what the next book is.
Yeah.
So give me the drum roll.
Next book we're picking up is...
Let me see. Boundaries.
Bang. That book was long.
We ain't rating it yet. Dr. Henry Cloud and Dr. John Townsend.
Well, that's how you know it's a long book. 2 doctors wrote it.
Yeah.
I wish there was Cliff Notes. I'd have read the Cliff Notes and that'd have been good.
So
I'm joking. It's
this
a good
is the book
though.
that
It's
we're going to
good.
review, and you guys definitely want to stay tuned because we'll actually have our first
A special guest, and we can't tell you who it is. You got to tune in to see who it is.
You won't know. Again, have a wonderful New Year.
Have a wonderful new. Oh wait, you got to say we gave you the highlights, the lowlights.
I mean, y'all know what we gave y'all. This good old book that y'all need to go ahead and get.
Imagine that.
Stay tuned for the next episode.
Yeah, stay tuned for the next episode.
Boundaries. We're going to dive right on in. We're going to have a special guest, so definitely stay tuned with that.
For the next episode.
Oh, here we go. Here we go.
I'm Kyle Alexander.
And I'm Michelle Lee.
Peace, y'all.
See you.